Glamour, guns, girls, and then even more girls. With a whopping number of 32.8 million followers on Instagram, Dan Bilzerian is living the dream of almost every teenage boy out there. He's a poster boy for what life could be if we guys stopped being afraid and started working out. His followers watch his super exciting life on their phones and feel amazed and a little sad because, honestly, most of us aren't like that. Well, here's a day in the life of Dan Bilzerian. Dan isn't real in the traditional sense. He's more like an advertisement for bachelorhood. As such, his morning breakfast doesn't include a set of fluffy pancakes covered in syrup while sitting in bed. In fact, Dan himself talked about this part of his day, telling GQ India that he wakes up, eats breakfast, and about an hour and a half later, he usually goes to the gym. His main breakfast consists of a 4-egg white and 2 whole egg omelet with a side of juice and a bowl of oatmeal with fruits and a scoop of protein powder. I don't think anyone can say that this breakfast is disappointing, right? Anyway, after breakfast, here's what follows. Dan himself says that this breakfast is quickly followed by a workout. And yes, when he says quickly, he means about an hour and a half after breakfast. I wake up, eat breakfast, and then about an hour and a half later, I usually go hit the gym. I do a little bit of cardio, warm up, run a mile, and then hit the weights. I've been kind of focusing on doing weights lately, but I've also been doing MMA for 20 years, and I used to be a big runner, he told the interviewer on GQ India. Speaking of the gym, his best exercises are pull-ups, bench presses, and squats. For him, by doing full body exercises, you get a higher growth hormone secretion, more of a testosterone secretion. He adds that it's just more beneficial than doing the isolation stuff. And if that seems challenging, I hope you're ready, because as it turns out, on many days, that workout is surrounded by 2 separate meals. The pre-workout meal includes a workout shake and a handful of dry fruits, while the post-workout meal introduces the first normal person food, a mix of lean chicken, rice, and veggies, all accompanied by a protein shake just in case things start to seem achievable. Now, when a reporter asked him about his food choices, Dan had this to say: "I have absolutely no sugar. I think sugar is the worst possible thing you can have." But he did reassure us that it's not entirely absolute in the case of a few certain sugars. His thoughts are that fruits are okay. Reason? They have different types of sugar and they usually come with fiber, so it doesn't create that insulin spike, which is what really causes a lot of negatives. So it's not just a strict no to everything sweet. And that brings us to the next part of the day, the longest one and the one we see the most of his daily activities. Apart from the stuff that most of us can guess from his Instagram, namely traveling, being with models, and having a grand old time on a boat or in a mansion, the predominant thing in his life is work and exercise. I know it's a shocker, but first, work. For those of you who have been too distracted by the models and his posts, the way Dan earns money is from 2 places: playing high-risk poker and his company, Ignite International. They think that he's the trapper, but he's the trappee as he announces all in and so on. On days when he's not in a casino earning himself an incredible amount of money, he'll be seen working from his laptop. The day also includes the second or fourth meal of the day, lunch, which usually includes some fish like salmon, paired once again with a serving of rice and vegetables. That leaves the last few workouts of the day before it's time to retire. As for what exactly he likes to do in that designated time, here's what he had to say. "I've done pretty much everything from triathlon to MMA to just cardio to just weights, so I think it's good to be well-rounded." And that finally brings us to the end of Dan Bilzerian's day. But don't expect things to get much easier just yet because, like the rest of the day, this too is designed to keep Dan in perfect shape. We're talking about nighttime. So the night officially kicks off with a pleasant evening meal, a reward of delicious food. Well, who am I kidding? The dinner's also a bit challenging with a protein smoothie and some dried fruits as a starter, followed by lean meat, usually chicken or turkey, paired with the classic combo of rice and vegetables. Now, if you're keeping tabs, that's a pretty solid amount of vegetables and carbs for one day, right? Anyway, part of the reason for that is Dan being somewhat of a fan of the vegan lifestyle. While he's not a vegan or even a vegetarian himself, Dan is nonetheless inspired by them, as evident in his response when a reporter asked if being a fan of animals meant that he was a vegan. Here's what he had to say. "I'm not. I wish that I was, but for me, it's really hard to maintain muscle without eating meat because I have a super fast metabolism and it's hard for me to get the protein. My dad went vegan and he lost 30 pounds of muscle in a pretty short period of time. He even mentioned that if he were a woman, he'd definitely do it, and honestly, statements like that makes his followers admire him even more." Now, putting the vegan discussion aside, we've arrived at the moment we've all been anticipating. This is one aspect of his life where he isn't completely masochistic and genuinely values his relaxation. A preferred method for him to unwind without compromising his health routine is by taking an ice bath immediately after an intense workout. In his own words, "I've experienced ice baths many times after challenging training sessions because they extract lactic acid from your muscles and wake you up. They're beneficial after a rigorous leg session or full body workout like clean and press. I also engage in running or use the elliptical trainer the following day to alleviate delayed onset muscle soreness." Finally, after a shower and literal ice, Dan settles into his comfortable bed, most likely accompanied by a group of women. Now, that covers his daily routine, but what's the key takeaway here? Well, who better to explain the significance of the day than Dan himself? In typical Dan Bilzerian fashion, he expressed, "I structure my day around working out," and proceeded to share these impactful words. "I frequently observe this with people who hire a trainer to motivate them. When the trainer assigns them several reps, they never exceed it, and I can witness them mentally giving up if the number seems too high and they doubt their ability." Well, these are strong words to keep you motivated. And there you have it, the extraordinary day in the life of Dan Bilzerian, a man who defies the ordinary and embraces the extraordinary. For you, how does your daily routine compare to Dan's? Are you embracing the grind, pushing past your limits, or is normal just enough? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below, and let's spark a conversation. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more intriguing content, and ring the bell to stay in the loop. So until next time everybody, stay curious and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.